Hi Taklani, how are you doing?
Hi Trevor, no, I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good. Good to see you. You're looking good.
Yes, good to see you too, man.
Yes. Taklani, it's interesting. I had some discussion with some people with regards to COVID. So, how have you been doing with COVID?
Well, by the grace of God, I'm very grateful for that over the last 15 or 16 months, my family and I have not been affected by COVID. I got vaccinated in May. My wife got a second vaccination. My boys now have also got vaccinated. So in my family, we're all now vaccinated. How about you? Have you been vaccinated?
Yes, we received our first jab, so my wife was sold to the second jab probably by Friday. So we've been doing good. My son has also had COVID and he's recovered well by the grace of God, so which has been a blessing for us as well.
Yeah.
He survived. Obviously, he's also been vaccinated, so
yeah,
he's virtually 100% back to normal.
Wow, that's good.
So, Taklani, how has it been with you during this COVID period? How have you been doing?
No, I've been doing well. So things have been going fine. As I said, we've been vaccinated. At least I haven't fallen sick. I've been working from home.
Yes.
So we've been good.
Yeah. It's not been an easy time, but so many Christians fly around. What would you say to Christians who are anti-COVID vaccine?
Incidentally, I've received quite a few questions over the last few months from Christians who are concerned about the COVID vaccine. And I think they have genuine concern because these are committed Christians who are worried about doing something that God is against.
Yeah.
So I understand where the questions come from. Sadly though, is that most of these questions are informed by false teaching that is out there.
Okay.
Many Christians, when you go behind the questions, they are afraid because they've been told that the COVID vaccine is the mark of the beast.
Okay.
And they don't want to, I also don't want to have the mark of the beast.
Sure.
So it's a genuine concern. So if the vaccine is indeed the mark of the beast, I also don't want it.
Sure.
But I've taken it because I believe it is not the mark of the beast.
Okay.
And perhaps I must just address that point of why I say it is not the mark of the beast. You see, the mark of the beast is only mentioned in the book of Revelation.
Correct.
And the book of Revelation is a revelation.
Sure.
Not a hiding of the truth.
Correct.
It's a revelation of the truth, the revelation of Jesus Christ. And there's a key themes of Revelation. Mm-hmm. The number one theme of the book is that the world is going to be chaotic.
Yes.
We must endure to the end.
Okay.
That's the message of Revelation. And therefore, we must not be discouraged by anything and start worshipping anything else other than God.
Sure.
Represented as the Lamb throughout the book of Revelation. And Jesus himself, in fact, is the one who tells the story in the beginning of the book, talking to John. So that's the first part. The second part is, what about the mark of the beast? Is this thing not the mark of the beast, as some are saying? So for those that I would like you to refer to the book of Revelation chapter 13, that's where.
Okay. Yes.
And I just want to read
some
passage from there,
okay.
Which indicate that this thing is nothing to do with that. So in the book of Revelation 13, in the beginning, John says, I look and I see a beast. Okay? And then in verse 11, he then says, then I look and I see a second beast.
Okay.
So there are two beasts he sees.
Yes.
Now the first beast he sees in verse 1 is a political beast. The second beast he sees in verse 11 is a religious beast.
Yeah.
Now the two beasts get into some kind of alliance. The first beast empowers the second beast, and they are together empowered by the dragon, who is actually the devil. Okay, the devil is giving this political power and religious power. He even enables the second beast to have powers to perform miracles.
Yes.
It says this second beast, he performs miracles, and people are deceived by him because they see these miracles and they say, this must be a man from God.
Correct.
And they start following him. And he then encourages them to worship the first beast.
Okay.
And because they see the miracles, they are convinced that he is of God.
Yes.
And therefore, when he tells them to worship the first beast, they worship the first beast. And that's where the problem is. And then he goes on, and I think this is the part that you need to realize, because in the book, there's always this contrast between the lamb and these other forces of evil. It says in verse 11 that I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb,
Okay.
but it spoke like a dragon.
Okay.
Okay? So when you look at it, it looks like a lamb.
Yes.
And that's the purpose of it, to deceive you into thinking that this is the lamb.
Correct.
But he's not. He is a wolf in sheep's skin, if you like. Okay? It's only when he starts speaking you realize that the words he's speaking sound like the words the dragon will speak.
Okay.
They sound like the words the devil will speak.
Yes.
But because of the miracles he performs,
Yes.
he is able to deceive people.
Okay.
Okay? So Christians, some Christians might be deceived by it because it looks like the lamb. But John warns us.
Yes.
The horns look like the lamb, but don't be deceived by it.
Okay.
It is the dragon. The power of the dragon is behind it. So that's the first thing I want to highlight.
Okay.
That this second beast, which is the religious beast, wants to pretend he is the lamb, when in fact he's not.
Cool.
And that is where the danger is. But then he goes on to mention the verse 16. I just want to read verse 16, 17. This is where the mark is mentioned.
Yes.
And people wonder, what is this mark? He says, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads.
Okay.
So this second beast, because of these powers, he even deceives people and forces them to get the mark of the first beast
Yes.
on their foreheads. And then in verse 17 it says, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast.
Okay.
So we don't have to wonder what the mark of the beast is.
Yes.
John tells us in verse 17, he says, the mark, which is the name of the beast. So the mark of the beast is actually the name of the beast written on the foreheads of people. So it is a name.
Yes.
It is not some mark or symbol.
Okay.
It is a name of the beast. So you don't have to wonder what it is about. It says, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. Okay? Because in those times, you could convert the letters into numbers.
No, that's correct.
Because all the letters of the alphabet had a number behind them. So you could convert the name into a number.
Okay.
And then in verse 18, then it gives you the number as a 666. But the mark of the beast is actually the name.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
The number is simply a transliteration of the name. Okay? So the mark of the beast is the name of the beast. It's not some other number. So the 66 is simply the number that you get once you add up the numbers behind the name.
You spell it out and then
You spell it out.
66.
That's what you get. So the 66 is an irrelevant number. But it's important that we come to that point just now. I'll come back to it. But the point I want to make is that what people don't realize is that when John mentions the mark of the beast,
Yep.
he's contrasting it with the mark of the lamb.
Okay.
See, many Christians have heard about the mark of the beast.
Yes.
Even non-Christians,
Yes.
they've heard about the mark of the beast. But many people have never heard of the mark of the lamb.
Okay. Yes.
Have you heard of the mark of the lamb?
Not,
What is
not,
the-
not common knowledge for
What
people.
is the mark of the lamb?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you go into chapter 14, so chapter 13 ends in verse 18.
Yes. Yeah.
Verse 1 of 14, then John contrasts the beast and his mark
Yes.
with the lamb and his mark. So I just want to read Revelation 14 and verse 1, which is now gives us the mark of the lamb.
Sure.
Okay? And because we said the mark of the beast
Beast,
is
yeah.
the name of the beast,
Yes.
I expect the mark of the lamb to be the name of the lamb.
Sure.
And that's exactly what
John said.
John says
Yes.
in chapter 14. So for chapter 14, verse 1, it says, then I looked. Remember in verse 11, it says, I look and I see a beast.
Sure. Yes.
Then verse 1 is another mark. So you must always check these things.
Yeah.
Verse 1 of 13, he looks, he sees the first beast. Verse 11, he looks, he sees the second beast.
Yes.
The third time, in verse 1 of 14, he looks again,
Yes.
and now he doesn't see the beast, he sees the lamb.
Okay.
Okay, so let's read verse
Yeah.
1 of 14. It says, then I looked, and there before me was the lamb, and not the beast anymore.
Okay.
Now he's contrasting the beast and the lamb. So let's hear what he says about the lamb. So I looked, and there before me was the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his father's name.
Okay.
Where are they written? On their foreheads. He says, I see the Lamb with 144,000 with his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. Okay?
Sure.
So you are now seeing two kinds of people. The one group, they have the name of the beast on their foreheads. The other group, the 144,000, have the name of the Lamb on their foreheads.
Yeah.
So the people of God have the mark of God.
Yes.
And the people who are not of God, who belong to the beast, have the mark of the beast, the name of the beast on their forehead. So these marks are actually the names.
Okay.
They are what identifies these two groups. Okay? Now, the first group, the group that belongs to the beast,
Yes.
it says, let's just read that last verse of chapter 13.
13%.
Yeah. It says, this calls for wisdom to understand this name of the beast, the mark of the beast. It says, let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. That number is 666.
Okay.
You know why the number 666?
Yeah,
Because the Bible, the number 6 is the number of man. Man was created on the
Right, on the
sixth day.
sixth day, yes.
Okay?
Yes.
He was created on the sixth day. So the number 666 in the Bible is the number of man.
Okay.
What is the sixth book of the Bible?
Oh wow, yes.
It is Joshua,
Exactly.
the name of a man.
Yes.
Guess what? What is the name Joshua? It's the name Jesus.
Jesus, yes.
Okay? And God became man,
Yes.
and his name was Joshua,
Sure. Correct.
the number of man.
Man,
When
yes.
God becomes man, his name is Joshua.
Okay.
Okay? The number 66 is the number. Remember we said the second beast,
Yes.
he has the horns that
Yes.
look like a lamb.
Correct.
So the second beast wants to be Jesus.
Okay.
Okay? He wants to be the man Jesus.
Yes.
That's what he's trying to mimic
Okay.
with his 66.
Okay.
Okay? So you might find that this name of the beast will be a name that people will simply associate with God. But that is where people will be deceived.
That's the deception.
That's the deception.
that comes.
Because he says that number 66 is the number of a man.
Yes.
Okay? But the warning there is that don't worship him, he's just a mere man.
Okay.
But with the man Jesus, he's not a mere man.
Sure.
He is God.
He's God.
That's why the name of the Lamb and his father
Okay. Right.
are the mark on the foreheads of the 144,000.
That's what John speaks in
Then-
chapter 14. Yes.
Then the 144,000, people also wonder about the 144,000. Okay? It's a play on the 666 and the 144,000. Both are represented by numbers.
Sure.
Now 144,000, because 144,000 is 12 times 12,000.
Okay.
Now what is the significance of the number 12? The number 12 in the Bible is the number of the people of God.
Sure.
Okay? So the 144,000 is not a finite number.
Sure.
It is a designation of the people of God.
Okay.
1,000, 12 times 12,000.
Sure.
1,000 in the Bible means innumerable,
Correct.
countless.
Thousands.
That's what it means.
Yes.
We talk about thousands when you can't count. So the people of God that you can't count,
Yeah.
these are the people of God. But you can count them to 12 because they're the people of God, and number 12 is the number of the people of God.
Okay.
The 12 tribes of Israel,
Yes.
the 12 disciples.
Disciples, yeah.
That is what the number designates. So the 144,000 is simply a mark of the people of God.
Okay.
Just as the 666 will be the mark of the people that belong to the beast.
Okay.
Okay, that's the difference between the two. So the number 666 is simply a translation of the name
Sure.
of the beast.
Okay.
So the mark of the beast is the name,
Yeah.
and the mark of the lamb is the name of the lamb.
Okay.
That's the two things. So there's nothing mysterious
Sure.
about these things. And so the fundamental message is that we must not fall victim and be deceived by this second beast and start worshiping him.
Okay.
We must continue worshiping the Lamb. That's the message of chapter 13 and 14 of Revelation. Now don't be deceived by this beast and the miracles he's performing.
Correct.
You are the people of the Lamb. You are the people of God. He is the one you must worship.
Great. Thanks for that.
So for me, there is no religious grounds
Mhm.
not to take the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
It is not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is not a thing you take in.
Sure.
Okay?
Yes.
What does Jesus say in Mark 7?
Yeah.
He says, we are not defined
Yes.
by what we take in.
Okay, yes.
Okay? We are defined by what comes out of us.
Correct.
So a vaccine that you take in,
Yes.
anything that you take
Take
in,
in.
will never define you in the eyes of God. But what defines us is what will be coming out of us.
Absolutely right.
Okay? So we must never be fooled by saying there's a vaccine out there that will be made one day. Maybe it's not for COVID, but it's another vaccine
Okay.
that we will take and it will defile us.
Yes.
No, there will never a thing that we take with our mouths
Yes.
that will defile us. We'll always be defined by what comes out of us. If we start worshiping the beast, that will defile us.
Okay.
And that's what we must watch against.
All right. Thanks very much for making that absolutely clear. It's fascinating that based on religious reasons people give.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating when my son and myself had a discussion. And he was so concerned. He said, Daddy, do you ever have COVID because you haven't been vaccinated and you end up in hospital? I won't be able to come and visit you. You're not showing love towards me, Dad.
Exactly.
By this I want to know if you have love one for another.
Yes.
And my son said, Dad, you're not showing me love. Please get vaccinated when it's time for your turn.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a bit greater than religion, is the love that we extend to each other.
Yes.
So that to me is quite interesting that you speak about the mark of the beast and the mark of people of God.
Yes. Exactly.
With John's clear in chapter 14
Yes.
about us.
Yes.
So that to me is, I know it's difficult for some people to actually grasp that, but I think you've made it absolutely clear. So what about the reports that say COVID-19 doesn't prevent COVID infection?
Yeah, so there are two kinds of groups. So the first group we've addressed, the people who object to the COVID vaccine because on religious grounds.
Correct.
There are no religious grounds for it. But there are others who object to it on health grounds.
Exactly.
They say, even the people who are providing these vaccines are saying, it won't prevent you from getting COVID.
Correct.
Okay? And therefore, some people then argue on that basis to say, so there's no basis for taking the vaccine because
So why take it?
Why take it?
So
It
why
won't
take
stop
it?
me. Yeah. So for me, that's, you know what it's like? It's like saying, you know, there's a law that says don't drink and drive.
Sure.
Because drunken drivers cause accidents,
Correct. Yes.
they kill others and they kill themselves.
Sure.
Okay? And then you say, but I just drove past an accident and they were dead, but the driver was not drunk.
Okay.
So drunken driving does not cause accidents because even sober drivers do cause accidents.
Correct. Yes.
But although that is true,
Yes.
there is overwhelming statistics that show that most of our accidents on the road and the death that happen as a result of that are a result of drunken drivers.
For sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
And currently there is enough data.
Yes.
Okay? I work for a health company.
Okay.
And the stats they've shown us
Yes.
are very clear about that.
Okay.
The people that have taken the vaccine, even though they get COVID,
Yeah.
they never get hospitalized and they never get seriously sick. They recover within a week or two.
Okay.
But people who have not taken the vaccine are the ones who are continuing to be hospitalized and the ones who are dying. So the vaccine will stop you from firstly getting seriously sick, that you end up being hospitalized,
Yes.
and also from dying itself
Okay.
from COVID. So there is no doubt statistically in terms of the number
Yes.
that people who are taking the vaccines have a much better chance of dealing with the COVID. Once they get it, they will not become seriously sick and they definitely not die from it.
Sure.
Okay, so for me, it's a foolish thing to say I'm not taking it because even if you are not having it, you still get. Yes, you will get COVID, but it won't make you sick. You won't end up in hospital and you won't die of it. That's the thing. It has been proven the whole way. In Europe, you probably have seen.
Yes.
They've opened the country. People are going to the stadiums
Yes.
because enough people in those countries have been vaccinated,
Sure.
and therefore they know that even though they get COVID, those people won't end up in hospital.
Yes.
Most of them won't die from it. That's what we need, even in our country. We need more people who are vaccinated so that the country opens up, so that even if we continue to have people being infected by COVID, we know those people are not going to be sick and end up in hospital.
Sure.
And that is what the vaccine does. And that's why it's important that we take it. There is something that, and it's both, and this is in the book of Ecclesiastes, and I want to go there and just address it, because it addresses both objections.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It does it from those people who think they are too righteous to take the vaccine because they are Christian.
Yes.
They are not going to take this vaccine of the devil.
Okay.
Or on the other hand, they are men or women of faith.
Yes.
God will protect them. Okay. So there are people who take a righteous religious stance to say, I'm not taking that. The others take it from a well wisdom angle that says, I'm too clever, I know this thing is not effective, yes. I don't want it in my life. But I just want to read this passage just to conclude this discussion. Ecclesiastes, yes. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. This is the words of the wise man. Okay. I always take the book of Ecclesiastes as the words of a wise man. Cool. I always go there when I say, what does the book of Ecclesiastes say about something like this? Okay. Because that's where you find the wisdom. So I want to read verse 16 and 17. Guess what he says? Okay. He says, do not be over righteous.
Okay.
He said you can be over righteous.
Yes.
And in the process become foolish. Okay. Because I can be over righteous where I start thinking that I have so much faith that COVID can't touch me. Okay. That I can't die of COVID. There are people pastors who have said they are so righteous that even if cancer gets them, God will heal them of it.
Sure.
But they die of it.
Yes.
Okay? So you can be over righteous and become foolish in the process. So he starts by saying, do not be over righteous. And then he says, neither be over wise.
Okay.
You can also be over wise.
Yes.
So wisdom is a good thing.
Yes.
But you can be over wise and become a fool in the process. Okay. And this is what he says in verse 16. He says, do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? Because being over righteous and being over wise, you can destroy yourself.
Okay.
And then verse 17 says, do not be over wicked and do not be a fool. Okay? Why die before your time?
Okay, yeah.
And many people are going to die of COVID before their time.
Yes.
Because they are being over righteous and they are being over wise to themselves. They are being too wise and they're being over righteous. And they're going to die before their time. And for me, that's a sad thing.
It is very sad.
It's very sad because these are people who righteousness is a good thing.
Yes.
Wisdom is a good thing.
Yes.
But the wise man says you can be over righteous and over wise and become a fool in the process and die before your time.
True.
And I just hope that our members won't fall into these categories.
Okay.
Of being over wise and being over righteous and die before their time.
Yeah.
You can die before. I know sometimes people always say it's God's time.
Yes.
When somebody dies, something, well, when it's time, it's time.
Yes.
But the wise man says there is a time when people are dying before their time because they are being foolish.
And that over righteous story is having breastplate of righteousness, God's righteousness.
Yes.
So we need to seek His wisdom.
Yes, not our own.
Not about our own wisdom. Being over wise, as it says, which is something that is
the wisdom of God. We need the wisdom of God, not our own wisdom.
Not our own wisdom.
Our own wisdom makes us over wise.
Correct.
Beyond our own.
Yeah. And that's where you get all these people wanting to counter the statistical data they counter.
Yes.
And they want to analyze it for their own wisdom.
Yes. That's where we are becoming overwise.
Overwise.
Because there are people who have studied.
Yes.
They have talked with, they are professors.
Yes.
Who are studying these things. And me, with my own Google account on my phone, on my tablet, I want to think I'll study COVID, understand it, and know whether it's good for me. Okay. The wise thing is to rely on the experts.
Sure.
Who have spent years. Doctors, they take an oath to protect lives.
Yeah.
If my doctor tells me to take the vaccine, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because they have studied, and one of his values is to protect lives.
Sure.
There's no doctor in his right mind who will advise his patients to take anything that will kill them. And I will encourage anybody to take the vaccine because all the doctors are advising you take it.
Yeah.
But the doctors who are not doing that have been influenced by the over-righteous people It is
Okay.
mainly the religious doctors who are taking the religious position,
Okay.
who are opposing the vaccine. And people are listening to those kind of doctors.
Okay.
And those for me are the doctors who are over righteous and over wise, and they are leading people the wrong way. And that's the sad part.
Which is very sad.
Very sad.
Very sad.
Very sad because people are dying unnecessarily.
Takalani, thanks so much for your time and the wisdom that you shared with us and straight from the scriptures.
Yes.
So
We
which
just,
is
need to,
important.
we just need to focus on the scripture and say, what does scripture say about this?
Exactly.
There is enough wisdom in the scriptures to guide us with the decisions we need to make.
So I hope this is going to be helpful for our members to actually understand a lot better how to approach the so-called anti-vaccination syndrome out there.
I hope so too.
I hope so.
And I hope so if any person watches this
Yes.
and they have a family member who also has a reservation, so they'll be able to help them navigate the issue of the vaccines and help them because some people have genuine concerns. They just need somebody to help them process this concern that they have. And unfortunately, most people rely on Facebook, they rely on Twitter,
Social
and
media.
there's so much fake news there.
Yes.
They are getting bad news and foolish stuff, and they are believing that stuff.
Sure.
And that's the stuff that is being destroyed. But I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great talking as we, the depth of understanding the scripture to help members to realize what we're up against.
Yeah.
So that they make
Yeah, so I think the important thing for me is that as a Christian, you must never be worried about the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is not something that you take.
Yeah.
It's not a chip that they'll put into you. It is the name of the beast. It is the fact that you identify with the beast, you belong to the beast. It's like saying, I'm a Pirates fan.
Sure.
Pirate is my name. I even wear jerseys that have the name of Pirates.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Okay? So probably there will be names. This beast will have his own brand of
Yes.
clothing, and so people will be wearing that with pride.
Yes.
And they won't know that that's the mark of the beast that they're carrying around.
Yeah.
And those that are that is the mark of the Lamb, or the people of God, will be carrying the number 12 on them.
Sure.
And that what identifies them? Worship of God.
Absolutely.
And the other ones, they worship the beast.
Revelation 14 verse 1.
That's the difference.
The name.
So it was not a physical sign on the
Yes.
said. It won't be something on our flesh. That's symbolism of the name of what it is that they worship. That's what it is. That's the mark of the beast. Yeah.
Thank you once again. One last word for our members before we close up. Let the members study.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to say, look, I hope this assists you in processing the questions you might have, if you had any questions. I just hope as many of us are able to take the vaccine. I've seen numbers from people who are studying the disease and studying how it's behaving, both from a medical point of view to say how many medical aid members who get COVID are ending up in hospital, or they are getting ill, or they are dying of it. And the numbers are very clear. People who are taking the vaccines are getting well very quickly, and they are not ending up in hospital. And people who are not vaccinated are ending up in hospital and they are dying.
Thanks so much, Takalani. And goodbye. I hope this is a good lesson for all of us to learn that be careful of fake news on Facebook. Thanks, Takalani.